Okay. All right. We'll get started. I'm going to go ahead and share our screen. I'm kind of excited. I think I'm always
Yeah.
I'm always excited um to share. So,
Yes. This is a good one. This is a good one.
all right, let's present. Can you all see our screen? Let us know.
Not yet, but I don't know if that's just me.
No,
Not yet?
not yet.
All right. Let's see. Let's do it again. Here we go. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. Wow. So we are already at week 7.
7.
We are at week 7. We are really making progress through both books. And I'm sure we're all feeling a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling a lot. Okay, we're gonna hop right into it. So we're gonna go right into our setting of the intention, which, as always, is to build a community in balance with the masculine and feminine energies as we aspire to end generational trauma in our communities through healing and growth. Okay. And if everyone would like to unmute in our call and repeat fashion, we'll now speak into the call and into the sacred space, our affirmation.
I am open to the wisdom within me.
I am open
I am
to the
open to the wisdom within me.
I embrace the path of self-discovery.
I
I
embrace the
embrace
path
the
of
path of
self-discovery.
self-discovery.
I am ready to strengthen my bonds with others.
I am
I
ready to
am ready
strengthen my
to
bonds with
strengthen my
others.
bonds with others.
Together we embark on this sacred journey.
Together we
Together
embark
we
on this
embark
sacred
on this
journey.
journey.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay, so so this week, y'all. Okay, so the chemistry between both the Man Heal Thyself book, right, and the Arit for this particular week, and also the Sacred Woman book and the Gateway of Sekhmet, also known as Sacred Healing, has been the alignment found between the humanitarian man and the healing or healer woman. And so here is what James and I, in terms of our own individual study, have pulled forward as far as what we see in the balance between both books. Okay, so starting with the humanitarian man, which is the men's or the masculine Arit, James will explain more about that.
So first, I just want to salute the brothers because last night's call was amazing. And any brother on the call, I am sure that we are still feeling the moment of that call that we had last night. We are breaking down blockages and barriers and rebuilding ourselves as kings, which talks to this Arit even, right? The humanitarian man. A humanitarian is someone who works towards the betterment, overall health, and empowerment of the community. Educating and sharing knowledge. To educate others about holistic health, spiritual practices, and self-care, sharing knowledge and wisdom is key to uplifting communities. And again, we talked about that a lot last night of building this community where it's a safe space for brothers to open up and be vulnerable. And we saw it last night. I mean, the spirit was there, our ancestors was there. I have never been in a space that I saw myself personally of being able for men to just hold space for other men as they emotionally connect and attach to emotions that they did not want to attach to. And they said, I did not want to attach to these emotions. But in spirit, again, with our ancestors there, pushing us on, it was a moment. It was a moment that I will never forget.
I love that.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Again, I've never been part of that, so I'm honored to have been part of that last night. Advocacy for holistic living, promoting a lifestyle that is in harmony with nature, spiritually aligned, and holistic is part of being a humanitarian. This includes advocating for natural healing methods and a lifestyle that supports overall wellness. Again, a lifestyle that supports overall wellness. And this is, again, what I always talk to with the brothers, and I'm always saying that this is not 12 weeks. This is not 7 weeks. This is a lifestyle that we are trying to bring to ourselves. It's a lifestyle. Cultural preservation and celebration. There is a focus on preserving cultural heritage and practices, particularly those of African origin, and integrating them into modern living as a form of humanitarian work. So again, this is what we are trying to do. We are, and we talked about this again, and I keep saying, like last night, we are trying to get back what was ripped from us, what was taken from us, what was naturally ours. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
What was naturally ours, that culture that we had that was ripped from us. Again, we are doing our work right now by building this village, all of us collectively, and trying to bring back that natural, organic culture that we had. So that's
okay, brothers. Wow. So this week for the sisters, we are entering the gateway of the guardian Sekhmet, who is the guardian of sacred healing. And I'll just share. So a healer is someone who not only addresses physical ailments, but also nurtures the emotional and mental, as well as spiritual aspects of an individual. And in alignment with the skill set of the humanitarian from the masculine form, the feminine side of that, or the healing side of that, would be the spiritual connection, the empowerment through self-care, and then also the cultural ancestral wisdom, right? So in summary, really, the deliverance during the gateway of sacred healing is really for women to explore, sacred women to explore their own innate ability to heal themselves first, and then to intuitively use their skill sets to then heal the family. And expand out from that, right? The community. And so in terms of empowerment through self-care, everything in Sacred Woman, the format in this gateway and every other gateway for the Sacred Woman begins with ourselves. So it's about, once we can do it here, then we can do it without, right? So within first and then without. And then that cultural and ancestral wisdom is back to what you all were talking about those African traditions that we have either abandoned, been lost from, separated from, whatever the language is that you prefer to use, but returning to those African traditions of knowing who we are, having that ancestral wisdom of our practices, so that that's exactly what we're doing. So basically the breakdown here is to identify and show that on the masculine and the feminine side of things here, there are some roles. Now, we all have already self-identified that we have both masculine and feminine qualities within us, right? And all of us have our own unique balances of that. So if you're looking at this, you could look at this in terms of for yourself, or you could be looking at this in terms of in your relationship, whether it's a partnership or it's a familyship, a friendship, whatever it is. But establishing the balance so that both sets of skills are actually present in the community or the communal space. So from the masculine side, it's the humanitarian, which is focusing on the community. And then from the healer side of things, which is focusing on first yourself and then the immediate family. So I really love that connection between the two.
Yeah. And I that's what I love, how it's broken out, to understand that. Like, I love that by doing this, I get to understand both sides.
Yes, 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 right? Because we went through rites of passage before.
Right.
We didn't do it at the same time. And we've never really compared notes.
Right.
Not like chapter by chapter.
Right.
So this is there. Yeah.
Right. And I just think, like, you know, to have a better understanding of the roles that we play and understanding what we are trying to achieve individually and as a union helps me know what I'm supposed to be for myself, but also for you, but also for my community. So it gives me vision.
Ashe.
Yeah.
Ashe. So the double down on this, right? Putting this into our, I guess what we would call layman's terms even, right? And language that we have used, I would say traditionally, and even in modern way, right? Would be the idea of a provider and a nurturer, right? So humanitarian or healer, and then looking at the same landscape as being provider or nurturer. And so as we do, right, we dig into the sacred word and we want to know more about where it has derived and how it has historically developed to its most current version or definition. And so when we dug into provider, so we have that the origin of the word comes from the Latin providere, right? Which means to foresee, to provide, to supply, and to act with foresight.
Foresight.
Which I have to say, like, I want to just linger there for a minute, right? Because so often when we think in the modern society about what it means to be a provider, sometimes the immediate thought that surfaces is financial. Sometimes the immediate thought that surfaces is almost like the person who's kind of covering all bases, right? And making it so that complete provision is given to someone else. And when we look at the origin of the word and we think about what it means to have foresight, we understand that it doesn't mean you have to do all things. And it doesn't necessarily even mean that you have to have the top salary.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you have to be the provider in the sense of financial at all.
Right.
It just means the foresight.
Right.
The foresight.
Right.
Being able to have a vision, essentially.
Exactly.
So we thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And we're gonna open it up to you all on what you think about that too. And then the historical development on that is that the term has evolved since then to mean someone who supplies or furnishes something necessary or useful, right? So we've kind of even more specifically defined it in modern times. And the sense of foresight still is there, but as a provider, it's also understood that it's someone who's going to prepare and make available what is needed.
Right. Right.
So I love
I can't wait
that.
to get into it. Yeah, go ahead.
So I love that. I love that thought, right? But before we get into the conversation on that, right, the discussion on that, thinking about now the nurturer. So the nurturer, its root comes from Old French and Middle English, and it means a nursing or a suckling, right? And then it also is broken down further into or expanded during historical development to mean the act of feeding and rearing, right? Especially in the early stages of life, and to include the broader sense of encouragement, care, and training. So realizing the same that we said with being a humanitarian and being the healer, masculine and feminine, that there's balance that we have within each of us. And then there's the external balance that we want to create in our relationships, whether they're partnerships, friendships, familyships, whatever.
Right.
Knowing that there's two very defined roles between the provider and the nurturer. What's your initial thought on that?
You want me to go?
Go for it.
No, so this was so for me to understand the roles of a provider, because I was one that thought financially, right? And then a nurturer. To hear and understand what your role is as a nurturer, it made me sit back and think, and I'm like, okay, wait. So as a provider, I'm supposed to have the foresight, the vision. I'm supposed to be out in the community with this vision. I'm supposed to come back to my wife, my queen, my partner, and say, hey, I have this vision. Right? What do you think about it? And then you, as the nurturer, as my queen, you take it, you look at it, you give me words of wisdom, you nurture me as we're going through this. But I ask myself, in these roles, the way we have it today, because in this modern world, we're not necessarily set up.
Okay.
Right? We're not set up necessarily to be in these roles, right? Because why? Because you as the nurturer need to go out every day into the world, into the role that you have, right?
The choices we've made.
The choices we've made, and go out into the world and put your battle gear on as well as I do, as kings do, but put your battle gear on as the nurturer to toughen up, because maybe you have a role that you're dealing with a lot of masculinity, right? A lot of ego, right? So you have to go into that battle. Now, I'm out in my world and I'm doing what I'm doing now. When I come home, what do I expect from you as the nurturer?
For me to switch complete gears
I need
immediately.
I need that switch immediately, right? And then if you're not giving me that, I'm like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Why is it not? Why am I not getting that? Right? So then because looking at the roles, I'm thinking, okay, so we're not set up in those roles today because of these other things. How do we then
return?
Right.
Yeah.
It should be.
Which brings us, and it's a perfect segue into the balance piece of this, right? So when we're thinking about the provider, we're saying that it's more of a practical focus. So the provider is someone who perceives the need and takes steps to meet that need, and it's often a material or practical in sense, right? The nurturer focuses on not the practical, right, but more so the emotional, the educational, the psychological aspects. Both are still in the caring space, right? One is practical caring, the other is more focused on emotional and otherwise caring. But it involves not just physical sustenance, as it states here, right? But also the emotional and intellectual development and well-being of others. So when we think about that in a family dynamic, right, it's like, okay, what if, right? And maybe this is even a what if for you and I. So what if we could hit a reset and there was this established balance in this way where you brought forth an idea and I had the time, capacity, and self-care, right, to actually nurture it and help bring it forward.
Right. Key self-care.
Right? Self-care, because remembering the nurturer, the healer is starting with self and then expanding outward, and the provider is community. So right. So at the end of the day, me focusing on my self-care then is what really it becomes the trigger for how I now navigate the family.
Right.
And then nurture the idea that you bring to me.
Right. But then also, right, so again, on our side as the king, we have these distractions. Right.
Okay.
So I'll be the first one to admit I'm a big sports guy, right? I love my sports. My Knicks is losing right now.
Yeah.
My Knicks is losing right now. And brother AJ better not say anything about it. So I sit there, I watch my sports, the distraction, right? And now my energy is of competitiveness and come on, my team, and I got this energy, right? Now I come to you with this energy, right? And
unconsciously even.
Right. Not knowing, right? Not knowing, but this is the energy that I'm bringing into whatever maybe we're going to discuss at the time or something that's coming up now. Oh, don't try to give me feedback. Don't try to critique me, because now my energy is already of the distraction, the chaos, the competitiveness, the ego, all these things that I'm watching.
Yeah.
Right. Where I say to myself, if I was in peace, if I was doing the things that I need to do to be in the right mindset, when I do come to you with something and as the nurturer,
Yeah.
you give me feedback, I can receive.
Mm-hmm.
I can receive it better, right? But again, we go through these distractions in our worlds, and then how do we get back
Yeah.
in proper alignment
How do we
to
get
be
to
able to
that?
give and receive?
How do we get to that? So we're gonna open it up to you all. I mean, following on, and building on even what James just described. I mean, who has a thought about getting back to that? Or have you already done it? Have you already started to explore returning to this kind of a dynamic? Or what are some of the blockages, the barriers that we see with this?
Anyone?
No blockages. Everybody is able to balance this. Is that how we feel?
Nobody sees this show up in their worlds today, their relationships today.
Yeah. Dre and Shy, welcome into this space. It's a safe space, y'all. We're here to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey.
so
Greetings.
greetings. Hello all. So sometimes it seems now I don't want to say the lack of communication, but finding the way to communicate is usually a blocker between nurturing and providing, right? I guess for me at least. Like, in order to bring some things to fruition, we may have different visions of how we need to get there. And in order to come to an agreement, I feel like there needs to be balanced communication, right? Someone has to speak, the other has to listen, and then we have to come to a median. And most times the blockage is that initial communication. So just learning to maybe revisit versus trying to have the tough conversation in the moment when there are emotion and passion behind what it is we're talking about, can maybe get us to that place quicker. But it's just learning to, take that pause.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And even to add to that, Sha, like when to have that discussion, right? Because like you said, there's the difficulty in the communication, but when did we discover that we had this difficulty? Like, are we already kind of, we've been invested in this for how long by the time we realized that this discussion needed to happen?
Right.
And it's like, when we think about provider and nurturer, how do we bring that conversation into the forefront about understanding what our definitions are of that so that we're clear. We're clear about the roles,
Right. And are the roles themselves interchangeable? Because what if there's this vision that I have and I just need you to nurture my vision so that I can bring this vision to life? Is it just that he is the provider and I am the nurturer, or is this interchangeable? Do I ever get a chance to birth something of my own?
I love that you said that. I love that you asked that, right? Because that's why we keep framing this in the terms of masculinity and femininity and understanding that we all have both within us.
Right.
So to your point, Sha, and I think you're spot on, it's like, when we're in that space of, let's say Sha is the one in this moment who has the foresight, she's got the vision.
Right.
Now does the significant other, right? Dre needs to now be reminded that means he now has to kick into a different side of himself.
Correct.
He now has to be the nurturer to that in order to be the complement. Right. And sometimes we have gender roles and thoughts around gender roles that get in the way of that.
Yes.
Right. Like prior messaging where people have said, oh, this is the man's
Right.
and this is the woman's, and we need to stay in our containers. And no, this is masculinity and femininity, and we can ebb and flow together where is needed. So Sha, I love that you mentioned that.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the fact, like, okay, even with it being interchangeable, because again, even with, let's say, my most recent goal and achievement, right? So
Congratulations to you.
thank
Zumba
you, thank you,
certification and licensing.
thank you. So that's a vision that I had, that I saw for myself, and Dre definitely stepped up and stepped in helping me nurture that,
so
right,
great.
that vision. However, because this is not a role that I'm normally in, sometimes I don't know how to receive that nurturing. So it's kind of tough.
Mhm.
I don't even know how to explain it. I really don't. It's just like, okay,
God,
I can say
that
thank
this
you,
is
I
so
can
good.
appreciate it, but it's just like, but how do I actually receive
Right.
the
Right.
nurturing without,
Yeah. Yeah.
feeling like I'm too much in this masculinity? Like, I'm trying to now balance that masculine, feminine within myself, and I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So Melinda said that part. What an exclamation mark. Okay. And oh my goodness, Shab, you just stating that just really just brought forth so many memories, even for myself, right? It's like I can recall even and how my body responds to hearing you say that, feeling the same way. And I think at least for me, it's because I think I almost thought of being the provider
Mhm.
in that moment, right? Or at least or being the visionary as being equivalent to being in control.
Mm.
And being in control is scary. Well, for me, right? Being in control, even though that's not what it means, but that's what I thought.
Mhm.
So being in control means, how will that show up for James? Is he going to be okay with that?
Right.
He's going to keep giving me permission to kind of lead,
Right.
to lead in that way, or will his ego show up and want to, pull back and grab that control, But looking at providing in the way of it just being simple language of having a foresight,
Right.
foreseeing something and having the vision, it allows for us to be a lot more collaborative.
Right.
I had the vision doesn't mean that I have to have the follow through, right? Because we talked about, like, even in the scenario that James and I said, okay, so if you bring me an idea and then you allow me to nurture it,
Mhm.
it can happen in the reverse.
Right.
I can bring the idea and you can nurture it. So it still leaves space for us to not have to go it alone and still to be in partnership for
And I
it.
think that's the key thing, the partnership.
Mm.
Do we look at these things as for the union?
Okay.
No matter what happens, whether it's on what role do I need to play for the sacred union?
Mm.
Right? So I need to be the nurturer. I need to understand that this is your time to be the provider.
Mhm.
And what do I need to do, again, for our union?
That part.
I think a lot of times, when we don't sit down and really have communication, like I was saying, the communication, right? To have these open conversations to understand what are the roles, what is interchangeable, how do I need to show up for you?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
How do I need to show up for you?
Mhm.
How do you need me to nurture you in this moment? How do you
Mhm.
need me to support you in this moment?
So that you don't compete with me.
Exactly.
So that my shining in this moment of having this vision
Right.
doesn't make you feel intimidated.
Correct.
And it doesn't make you feel small.
Correct.
And it doesn't make you feel replaced as the
Correct.
provider in the
Correct.
space as well.
Correct. And I need to be in spirit, right? Because we have these conversations sometimes when you talk about, I don't even know how to have this conversation, or when I have this conversation, maybe it didn't go the way I thought it was. Did we go into this conversation in spirit? The timing of it. Did I just come out the chaos? Did I just come out the distraction? Am I in spirit to give and receive?
Ashe.
Right?
Okay. So we're talking sacred timing also, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not just about the communication to even build on what Shah's saying, because it starts there, but about when.
Right.
When is the right time to have the communication so we're open to it?
Correct.
I received that. I received that.
Correct. And I believe like,
Yeah.
these are some of the things that we lost, I believe, because again, we was ripped from our village, right? Because these are the things that would be nurtured in the village as we're being raised to understand how we communicate, how to be in alignment, which is the union is on top, the village is on top. We have our individual visions, but at the end of the day, it is for our union, for the community, for the village.
Totally agree. I totally agree. And even as you're sharing that, I'm just thinking about the evolution of our people, right? So when we think about the man being ripped from the home, even if we're talking, let's say enslaved, because we weren't slaves, we were enslaved, but we're talking about in enslaved times, that man had to leave the home and go and do all the things, right? And then a space had to be created that felt empowering and safe and like appreciative of all he had to do on that outside of the door, right? Now you go forward a couple hundred years and you fast forward to a space where maybe public assistance and welfare was just beginning to rear its head. And a lot of the laws around getting assistance required mothers to not be with the man. You had to be a single mother in order to get support. You had to prove you were living alone. Go hide his boots. Right. So now you had to muster up and show I am the provider here in some way, right? And then it kind of creates a shift in the dynamic of our evolving relationships over time.
Right.
You know, and the mindset
Right.
of all the children living through all of what they're seeing.
Right.
All of what they're seeing. So Ashe. And Alicia says, yes, spirit. Yes, spirit. Exactly. Like you said, right? Are you bringing spirit into the conversation? You know, Brother Truth and Sister Constance say, yes, go into the conversation in spirit. That's it. Exactly. Exactly. And yes, opening the floor up to Brother Truth and Sister Constance.
She wants to talk, but she wants me to go first, so I'm gonna yield to her.
Okay.
Well, what I was kind of saying, that was a good balance to all this that we're speaking of. One of the first things, we've been married 6 years, and I remember on like our first or second year, you know, we had to have a conversation of me being a nurturer, you know, and what that looked like to me. And you know, it was really hard it wasn't hard, it was just a work. It was hard, honey. Because I had to, you know, come away and make sure when you said go into the conversation in spirit stood out so strong, because I had to find a way to not be competitive when I was nurturing one of his ideas, you know, that I was actually being supportive. And if I did have some input, that it wasn't criticism. You know, I wasn't coming off as a person that's, oh, you're doing it wrong, or there's a better way, my way is a better way. So that stood out real big to me, and I'm glad we're touching on that, because a lot of times, you know, us being nurturers, it's like, okay, the man's a provider and the woman's a nurturer, but there's so much more to him being the provider, you know. And as I say, I like that you said, Tanisha, I don't ever want your position. I don't want that to have, you know, I'm not sure. I don't want that. I don't want all that control, because, you know, being a man, I mean, it's so involved. What we do is so involved, I understand, but to watch them, you know, to deal with the life as daily going ons in their experience is amazing also, you know. So I think I'm complete. That's all I just wanted to say.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm gonna segue, but as you all already know, I really hope everyone is actually taking notes tonight. Tonight is a very profound night from what's been said thus far, and the time that we allot to it, it's not gonna do it justice.
Yeah.
So either you're gonna get the recording and replay it and repeat it and study it and investigate it, or you're gonna take notes to what comes into your spirit.
Yeah.
And that's the natural part. When someone says something, and it moves you to pick up a pen and paper, that means there's something in there for you.
Ashe, Ashe.
I picked up pen and paper. The first thing that I'm going to say, and this is going to segue from our call last night, and Brother James is going to, I'm telling you, whose society? My first question to us, and I'm going to request that we really take our time with this and just let the ancestors say something tonight. So as Brother Manifest would lead us in a meditation, I'm going to ask for, give us 15 seconds to prepare ourselves for our ancestors.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Six. 10. 15. And I'm going to lead us into the question. Whose society are we? Whose society are we operating within? And from that, I'm going to introduce the term environment. There's so many things that we talk about. There's so many things that we read and we feel great about it. But we're reading it and feeling great about it within someone else's society. Someone else's, and that society is an environment that's not conducive to you producing exactly what you're reading about or thinking about, or feeling, or longing for. The society that you exist within right now is going to continually bring you back to say, okay, well, this call is going too long, so I really got to get off the phone. So I really got to get ready to go to work tomorrow. I really got to do all these things tomorrow. The society that we exist within right now is not conducive for us to be us.
Hey.
I said.
I mean, that's just a recommendation. I could be correct. I could be wrong.
Brother, you're
No,
right.
sir. No, sir.
So I'll start with that is, whose society are we operating within? And to focus on the term environment. Okay, I'm gonna say, like I said last night, semantics is the science of meaning. And some of us may not like that, and that's okay. However, if you're going to truly operate within truth, you have to deal with exactness. You have to begin to deal with law. Law is exactness. Plant a rose in the desert and it's not going to survive.
Right.
Plant a watermelon in the water-drenched area, it's not going to survive. The watermelon is meant to contain moisture and provide moisture. So it needs to be in an environment where it's conducive to extract the moisture from the air and hold it within its rind and savor it for you. So the environment is mandatory to be appropriate for whatever it is that's within the seed to come out and reveal itself. So I shall revive. I will rewind. Provider, nurturer. These are seeds. These are allow ourselves to see them as seeds. What is a provider? What is a nurturer? It doesn't. The seed does not require us to determine what it is. The seed will reveal itself to us. I read something last night, and the essence of it was, each and every one of us on this call, the one thing that we have in common, first and foremost, is that we were born into existence. We were born. Which one of us were not born? Raise your hand, let us know so we can actually, we can begin to submit to you. We were all born into X, EX, capital I is, and then a little bit of space, and then STENCE. X is stents, the extent of the isness. What seed were you born into? I'm looking at
Melanation.
no, that was a degree of what you were born into, the seed. Because some of us have different degrees of melanation. However, what we all can identify with in the fullness is that there are two different types of seeds right now on this line. Even in the animation.
Male and female.
Masculine, feminine. Those are seeds. I'm going slow for a reason, because this is a very like touch and go subject right here.
Yeah, look, we following
Take
you.
your time.
We following you, brother. So
That's
the chat, Melinda said, "Come on now, King."
This subject is one of those things in this society could blow up into a war.
They have women against men.
In the society that we have been brought, that we were taken into for a purpose. However, now we're striving to return to the divine society. And inside of the divine society, there are divine principles that rule, that govern.
Bring us together.
These are not abnormal, these are normal principles. So, going to the seed, we all were born into a particular seed. No matter how much I like it or not like it, this is what I was born into.
Right.
There's a lesson in, I digress, excuse me. It does not change that I am the all in all. The principle is within this particular form, this form, not me, within the form, there is masculine energy and feminine energy. But the form is conducive for what? What is this form conducive for? Is it conducive for feminine energy or masculine energy? Now, I can go into this society and it can, make it seem like this and make it what's natural and what's not.
Right.
What gives birth to more life and what doesn't? If I strive right now to be feminine and not utilize all the masculine elements that is within this particular form, I decrease life. I take away from life. I no longer produce life because I'm withholding the life force that this form has come into existence to manifest. I do not release the seed of the masculine, the active principle, into the feminine, the passive, which receives the seed of activeness and brings forth more of the same divinity.
Correct. The birthing cycle.
Right.
The birthing cycle.
Ashe.
I'm here with you, brother. Like, that's exactly it, right?
I can be cut off at any time, meaning to me, a conversation is not, I sit here passively and I'm listening to, excuse the exaggerations, but conversation means I say something, you respond in the moment. If you don't respond in the moment, now you're suppressing something. Say it in the moment. And I will now become naturally the nurturer of what has to come out.
Okay.
We're being taught certain things that are not natural.
So you're saying each one has like the nurturer and the provider?
What I'm going precise, I'm not saying that that's the math. But what I'm saying is this. If I say something and if what I say causes something to rise up, let it out right then. I should be intelligent enough and strong enough to hold on to what I'm saying, because I am that, to be able to receive what you're now interjecting, meaning nurturing. You're putting something into it.
Mm-hmm. Ashe.
Wow.
I love every bit of that, because what Brother Truth just did was walk us through the imagery, right?
Yeah.
Of the idea of, even from a masculine anatomy, right? The seed. What happens with the seed, right? It is implanted into the womb, right? Which then nurtures it, into bringing life to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the cycle. That's the cycle. And that's not just anatomically, right? It's not just biologically. That's the way it works energetically to everything we're doing. And that we can do that on so many levels interchangeably.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ashe.
Thank you for that.
And so the chat was going off while you were speaking, brother. So the chat, they said, so Sister Felisa says, I think I agree with Brother Truth. The environment is not conducive to the roles that we need to play. Exactly. And then the Hustle Healer says, the environment doesn't nurture our nature. I love how that's worded. The environment doesn't nurture our nature. We must provide nurturing environments for the true nature of ourselves. Somebody give me a pen. Somebody give me a pen. I love that. And Felicia says, but I'm the healer meant to overcome the destroyers. It's not easy when there is so much resistance to breaking free from strongholds. Come on, sis. Come on, tell us more about that. I saw your hand up. Yeah.
Greetings, everyone. I said I agree with Brother Truth, but he made so many points. I kind of got, but what I glommed on to was the environment and how it does pit us against one another. When I went to Africa, I learned so much about who we are, what they did to us, and all of that. And I came away with a lot. But one of the things I came away with is I don't have to fit into somebody else's world anymore, because I know more about who I am. And I have 2 sons that I can impact them. I have countless nieces and nephews, and I can impact them and help them to understand. I have to be honest, when I say the pain of being the one that is woke, when there are so many that don't want to wake up. They want to stay in the status quo and fit into some other world that they don't want us in, we don't belong in, but we're still trying to fit in. And I understand. Tabitha Brown says it's what is it, a code shifting or whatever.
Yes.
And I understand it. I'm not judging it because I've lived it. But now I am a part of reshaping the environment, and that is a huge responsibility, but I embrace it because I see the value in doing so, standing up for myself first, standing up for my family, and standing up for my community. So that we understand that we are special. We are a chosen people, and we don't have to fit in, but we have to find ourselves. We have to allow the truth to permeate the strongholds. And some families and some are stuck. And there are some people that are stuck that hold powerful positions within families, and that's tough. So
That's the word.
yeah, I'm complete.
Ooh. I felt that. There are some people that are stuck, that hold powerful positions within the family. Somebody that look.
Right.
My notes. Like, seriously, that is powerful. That is powerful. And they're cascading their messaging.
Right.
generation after generation after generation, until somebody says, hold on,
Right.
it stops with me.
Yep.
The targets are going off in the chat, says. This Alicia is you hit the target on the bullseye.
That's it.
That's exactly what's going on. Dre and Shaw said the buck stops here.
That's it. That is
Yes, yes. The idea that simply because you've been here the longest, because you have tenure, because you have seniority. I mean, really, right? Like, now we're exploring outside of those realms, right? And we're not getting boxed into, we do things the way it's always been done.
Right.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. So I think everyone was really hitting on this. So I love it when there's so much symmetry between what we're discussing and what the natural next thing is, right? So we were talking a lot about being able to receive feedback, being able to provide feedback, and the things that get in the way of that. Like sis Felisa just said, right? What's in the way of having those people holding powerful positions in the family from receiving the feedback to learn better, so that they can do better and cascade better, right? So here are the 3 things that we kind of came up with, and we are open to expanding on this, right? That's what we do on this call. Y'all always giving more, and we love it. So where we started here was refusal to reflect, ignorance, and denial. So Sha mentioned communication. Brother Truth and Sister Constance are talking about the environments that we're in, the cycles that we're creating, the birthing cycle, what we're planting the seed in and how it's being nurtured. Sister Felisa is talking about, and who are the people who we need their mindsets to change. In powerful position and need their mindsets to change. And here are some of the blockages: the refusal to reflect, the ignorance, and the denial. It's really plain, really simple, right? So refusal to reflect, when we're talking about finding it hard to just receive feedback because you haven't built a habit of providing feedback for yourself. So you don't have a habit of reflecting. Whether it's through journaling, whether it's through your solitude, whether it's meditation, whatever it is, having your moment of stillness, whatever your modality is, in order to self-reflect. When you self-reflect, you realize that it's necessary.
Absolutely.
So when someone else gives you feedback, you also can understand it's necessary to self-reflect.
Absolutely.
But when you don't self-reflect, you may never identify that this is necessary. So when someone else is coming to you with information, you don't need to receive it. No, that's okay. No, thank you.
I was there.
I'm refusing to reflect on that.
Yeah.
And then the impact of that is that it leads to a defensive reaction, dismissal of the feedback.
That's it.
And it's all because someone is not ready to connect between the feedback and their actual behavior.
Correct.
I'm not ready.
Nope.
I'm not ready to explore this at all.
Nope. And back to what I was saying in spirit. It's another reason why sometimes the person will refuse to accept, I don't want it. Yeah. No, I refuse to reflect. And you can even say the words. Reflection. Let's sit. No.
Right, because they're deflecting.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
No, it's not me, it's everyone else.
No, no matter what you say, no.
Avoiding.
Yep. Yep.
Right. Just rejecting it altogether. So that's the refusal to reflect. Then there's the ignorance, where they're not necessarily refusing to reflect, but they just have no awareness, right? That's the person who, I'm exhibiting this behavior. Let's give an example. I'm saying, did you know that whenever I'm speaking, you interrupt me? Whenever I am speaking, you interrupt me. Just giving it a simple scenario.
Right.
And the person saying, no, I've never noticed that that's what I do.
Right.
So it's not that they're refusing to reflect, but they were just oblivious to it.
Right.
They've never paid attention to it. No one's ever brought it to their attention, maybe. But the impact of that is that they could be caught by surprise or confusion when they're confronted with that feedback.
Right.
Because it's like, what? Me?
Right.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
Let's record it the next time.
Right.
So that we can point it out. Because
Right.
I don't believe that that's what I'm doing, right? That's the ignorance side of it, right? And then there's the denial, where there's just the open refusal to accept the feedback. So, yep, you're giving me the feedback. Maybe there's even some proof that I know I need the feedback.
Right.
But no.
I've
decided it's not me, it's you, and I don't want to hear anything different. And it's very similar, right, to being unaware and ignorant to it, right? The ignorance, but it's an active resistance. So it's like, not only am I telling you I don't observe it in myself,
right,
but I'm telling you I do not accept that you observed it either.
Exactly.
Like, that's it. No, it didn't happen.
Nope.
Period.
Nope.
And then the impact of that is that it leads to an outright rejection of the feedback.
Right.
Rationalizing or making excuses, and a failure to take responsibility for the issues that are raised.
Right.
Those are the things that get into the blockage, right? And they become the barrier to communicating.
Right.
Because if a person who's trying to communicate with you has experienced this enough times, they may not even want to do it anymore.
Nope. I'm not going down that road
again.
Nope.
I don't have the energy today. That's a whole thing. I don't have the time.
Yep.
I went to bed late. I have to work early. Whatever it is, right?
It becomes like trauma.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You're thinking about what's going to happen beforehand.
Exactly. Exactly. There we go.
Right.
And so if someone has gone through this enough time, let's open it up to the floor. Are there other items that we believe get in the way? Now, we know refusing to reflect, the ignorance of it all, and then also denial get in the way. Any other thoughts? So Chandra said, seeing your own reflection in the other person's eyes when you weren't yet prepared to look in the mirror.
Wow.
Y'all coming through a what tonight? I love that. I love that. I love that. You weren't ready to look in the mirror, and then you showed up in the image anyway. Wow.
Wow.
I absolutely love that. And then Sis Felisa says, understanding that we are not obligated to carry on the distinction was huge for me. I can be, do, and believe differently.
Wow.
You better say that.
That's it.
And sometimes we can even think back, just to expand on that thought, because it's a beautiful thought. Sometimes we can even think about the auntie, the uncle that distanced themselves from the family. And everybody else operating in the dysfunction was like, I don't know what's wrong with Uncle so-and-so. He want to live on the land way back into wherever and not come to the barbecue.
Right.
We don't understand why auntie so-and-so distanced herself and she really doesn't bring her kids around as frequently anymore.
Right.
But sometimes exactly what Sis Felisa just mentioned, carrying on the distinction, if you're not able to teach those people in powerful positions in the family how to operate different, sometimes you got to separate yourself.
That's it.
Especially if you're trying to raise children even.
Absolutely.
And you're like, I don't even want them to have this tainting. Like, I don't even want to do this piece.
Right.
Powerful.
Dysfunction. That's right.
Dysfunction. So they're living, you don't have to carry on the dysfunction. I love it.
You know what else? To be honest, once you start being awoke and you start going through this, the Most High will remove people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even you having to leave.
Yeah.
People will start leaving because they see what's happening.
Yeah.
They're not ready for that.
And it feels like grief.
Right.
Right? Like mourning of or the ending of something.
Correct.
You know, it concluding. And that's a whole nother layer to the experience. So that's a great point. That's a great point.
Right.
And we've got Brother Truth and Sister Constance. And then we also have Sister Megan's hand. Okay.
Greetings.
Greetings.
What I can say about this is that I can honestly say through life, learning how to speak or even accept, that there was like something I was like refusing to reflect or look at myself or anything. And then how to communicate, to realize that I was raised around people in both sides of my family that didn't have the skill set. So therefore, it took a lot of spiritual work for me, not only to start letting go some of the abuse and baggage, but to actually grasp onto new ways to look at myself and reflect and be like, okay. And I can say, you know, I've been working on it for about a year, but not until the last few months has it really had some waves that have been okay. But I can only learn better, even at my age, to teach better to my daughter's age, who, you know, I told her when she was here, if I can save you 25 years off of your life so you don't have to get this at 52, then let me give it to you now.
Right.
So when we know better, we do better.
Ashe.
That is it.
Ashe. And like you said, and pouring that wisdom back.
Right.
Back into the family, back into the community, and saving them the time. I love that.
Right.
I love
And
that.
had I not had a God, now had I not had such a spiritual founded man to actually help strong spiritually, but man that could actually help me see that, because you know, when you don't have a partner that can actually speak that into you and say, hey, you are, you know, missing this point of looking at yourself, you know, and he'll tell me in a minute, I think you need to write that sentence down. I think you need to take time and spend time with that. And I was mad. I'm like, oh no, what are you talking about? But really,
look,
I was
I'm gonna
upset.
interject. She would tell me, I'm 50 something years
I'm 52.
old.
I got this in the bag,
What are
right?
you telling me?
I told her when you was just going to high school, I lived on my own. So, you know, it's
she just
really,
didn't know I was living on my own in the spirit way before then.
So it just really, you know, when you don't have the skill set, you know, until you get whatever age, you know, when it arrives on your doorstep, and you have to look at yourself and reflect and be like, okay, I can see me a little more now. That takes the work. So I just wanted to share that.
Ashe. That is such a beautiful reflection. And I mean, it touched me because that's a lot like us.
Absolutely.
Right. So I would say James and I, so the balancing that we were doing in the beginning was that he's completely emotionally detached and I am completely like just drenched in emotion. Like I am like, you know, trying to swim and barely staying afloat in the emotion. And he would say to me, how many times are you gonna keep doing the same thing this way with this person? When are you going to see that you could choose to do things different? And I'm just saying, steady wanting the other person to see me, to understand, to change their behavior. And he's like, enough. You don't see this, you know, and because his language was so direct and I was so engulfed in emotion, it was almost I couldn't take it on. Like it's like I just couldn't really understand it because it seemed to me that from where he was coming from, he couldn't possibly understand how it felt. He couldn't possibly, because you cannot just be that succinct and direct if you could feel what I'm feeling. And then and then over time I realized, okay, so he's had experiences where he did feel it. Right. And his emotional detachment, he wasn't born with that. Like it became a coping mechanism because he understood there's another way to do it. And I think together, the symmetry has been us kind of balancing each other on the seesaw. So it's like, I'm like, okay, we're gonna tap into emotion today. And he's like, all right, we tapping out of it today. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of helping each other out. But what you shared, Sister Constance, really resonates with me because I was really soaked in my emotions, and he was like, "This is ridiculous. Like you just it doesn't have to be this way."
I was just soaked in emotions, and man, and then don't let the mood swing with the emotion.
Right.
There it goes.
Exactly.
I'm gonna and bring us back to what seed were you born within? And based upon the seed that you were born within, what environment has the seed been planted within? The seed has been planted in an environment that wants you to be the exact opposite of what it is that you are supposed to manifest in this reality.
European lifestyle.
And every experience that we have had. Now, this is not a negative. I'm saying it in the intensity, but this is not a negative.
It is what it is.
This is actually a positive because of this moment right now. This moment, this realization is what was intended through our experiences. Not a hatred, but a love, a deep love of self. Not hatred of the other, but a deep love of self. The other had to be the other for you to actually embody the fullness of who you are.
Right.
And
It's
who
like
you are
we had
meant
to see
to
each
be.
other's extremes.
Right.
Exactly.
Embracing the you and your mate. That's beautiful.
Exactly.
I love that thought. Ashe, brother. True.
Ashe.
Right? Because I used to look at James, I'm like, that's what self-care looks like. Those are boundaries. Like it was clear. Like he's got his boundaries, and I'm like, okay, finding my way there. So yeah, we've been a mirror to each other.
Absolutely.
Exactly the way you described, Brother Truth. Ashe. Thank you for that. Ashe. And Sister Megan.
Greetings, everybody.
Greetings.
Two apologies. First off, one, I apologize for not being on camera. I've been overstimulated today, so I'm kind of in a darker environment. So I figure we're just gonna keep the camera off.
And we love you for caring that much to give that explanation, because you didn't have to do that, right? But we appreciate you.
No problem. And then before, I forgot to change my name, so I am also the Hustle Healer. But I'm
okay. Wait, I was like, wait.
I saw that. I was like, Hustle Healer.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Hustle Healer is for my my breathwork practice to heal from the hustle. So I apologize for that confusion. But my point that I wanted to bring up was all that has been mentioned so far and the wonderful notes in the PowerPoint led me back to Brother Truth's word of environment and how crucial your internal environment is and nurturing that environment. So from the place of the healer, having to start with self, and also from the place of the provider, being able to understand within yourself what that vision is. So when we start both provider and healer, because masculine and feminine, it's all within us, right? We have to be able, one, to be open to nurture that environment, two, to be aware enough to feel the discomfort, to be triggered to nurture that environment. But when we get to that place of, finding or meeting or encountering our significant other, it's understanding that we are here, as you said, Brother James, to create this village that is the ultimate environment. And from, I believe, Sister Felisa and Sister Constance, and mentioning, the relatives that might be in the high positions, or just passing it on to your family. If you can't be within your own environment and then joining with your significant other to create that environment, which then later impacts the environment at large of the community, you create such a ripple effect of change, because there is observation happening, whether you like it or not. So in communicating, and finding ways to get, out of, for us, and for the sisters and the queens, we might get in like uber provider mode because we've been in environments where we're taught to, well, we gotta do for ourselves, and we have to be the bosses, and we have to do this. It's also recognizing that once you get back home with your partner, that's your sacred environment, to know that you're in a safe space to be able to take off the armor, both of you, and be together in true harmony and unity. So it's more that's coming to mind, but I'll stop there. I'm complete, but I thank you for the time to express that.
Shay says, oh
Thank
my
you.
goodness.
Thank you for that share. Yeah.
That was beautiful. And it was almost meditative.
Right.
Like,
It was. It was.
like you brought us into your space with you. You described it as being so serene
Right.
and kind of
I felt it.
calming. And energetically you shared that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Ashe. Give thanks for that. And I agree. And I love how you put that. Our internal environment, right? So there's the external environment and then the internal environment. I
Right.
love you calling that thought forward.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yeah.
Ashe. And Brother AJ says, beautiful thoughts. Beautiful thoughts. Yeah. So we're going to go in, and we're probably not going to go through this one line by line, right? And we'll share it and everyone will be able to kind of reference it. And we call this slide the feedback blockages, but just to tell you a little bit how we want you to use it, it's an accountability sheet, y'all. So when you're working with someone who has agreed, number one, right, for you to be their accountability partner on this journey in some way, it's really an exercise of calling out during the conversation when these things show up. I gotta tell y'all, if there were cameras in our house, kind of highlighting the moments that James and I call these things out, it is quite interesting, right? Because I'll be like, oh, wait a minute. See, you're deflecting.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. That right there. So you're not reflecting.
Right.
So, but we're going back to using our actual language that we're agreeing to learn together. So today we talked about refusal to reflect, ignorance, and denial. And so on this slide, it's some scenarios, and we know that there'll be many more, right? But to give some examples, the first one is criticism of behavior or attitude. So this is like if someone is perceiving the comments about or hearing comments about being aggressive, being dismissive, or being uncooperative. Someone's telling you that you're being those things. Refusal to reflect looks like dismissing the observation altogether. It's irrelevant and untrue.
Right.
Ignorance would be not realizing that your behavior or your attitude is a problem. And then denial would be insisting that your behavior is justified, right? And the idea is you don't want to do these things. You want to reflect. You want to look for the way that this may be true.
Right.
Because a lot of times we get caught in the thought and the idea that what you're calling out today about me is a complete definition of who I am.
Right.
So you're saying to me, Tanasia, you know what? You're not listening. And I'm like, but I'm a good listener.
Right.
Okay, but that's not what you said.
Exactly.
In this moment,
Right.
I'm not listening.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm not a good listener.
Right.
So if I hear the truth, which is, okay, I sit back and I self-reflect, in what way could that statement be true in this moment? Okay, I don't think I really did catch everything he said. I probably was talking over him during that moment.
Right.
Then if I self-reflect, I'm not doing these other three things, right? So then there's the feedback on communication style. So if someone's giving you feedback to say you're being too direct, again, not listening, right? Misinterpreting words. Someone is telling you you're misinterpreting what they're saying and you're steady going on. Have we had that happen?
We've been there.
James is usually the misinterpreter. I just want y'all to know. That one is not me. Right? So the refusal to reflect would be ignoring the suggestions to modify the communication method. If the person has told you that whatever the words were, it's not the way they meant it. The words didn't come out right, or you're misunderstanding, allowing them the correction.
That's it.
How often are we not allowing each other the correction? No, it's what you said.
Right.
It's what you said. You're
Right.
stuck with it.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. That's the refusal. The ignorance is being completely unaware of how the communication style is affecting someone else. And then the denial is arguing that nothing happened here, nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. No, no, just not accepting. So what we want to do instead is reflect. In what way is what you're saying about me true?
Right.
Even for just a moment.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's completely defining.
Right.
For just a moment, in what way might what you be saying be true? Because we are reflections. Shah talked about it in the chat. Seeing our reflection in the other person's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to them. Because everyone in our experience has been placed there divinely for a reason.
Absolutely.
So why do we dismiss each other? You know, it's all information. So a brother Truth used the word earlier, investigating,
Right.
right? It's information to help you investigate yourself. Okay, highlighting unresolved issues or past incidents. So we're talking about bringing up past conflicts or unresolved matters. That's one that a lot of us don't like that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody, all that happened in the past and bringing it up gives
Right.
us some empty feelings and we just really don't want that experience. Well, sometimes we need to have it. Refusal to reflect looks like avoiding the discussion of the past issue and seeing them as irrelevant. So we're not going to reflect and see how that's still relevant today.
Right.
It's in the past. We're going to leave it there. The ignorance is not understanding that there's an ongoing impact of the past behavior. So if something has happened in the past and there's no repetition, it has not come up again,
Right.
then maybe that's something now you want to talk about, agreeing that we're going to put this to bed. This is no longer a concern between us. But if there's a reoccurring theme, it is unfair to tell someone they are not able to now reference this because it's continuing and you're really not using it to throw it in their face. It's more about saying, this is the thing that I was telling you about that I would like for you to stop. You know what I'm saying? And showing them the pattern there. Denial. The denial is, again, just refusing to acknowledge the mistakes altogether or their relevance in the current moment. Choosing not to see how it's relevant today. Nope, I don't care what you say. It's not relevant today. Put it away. I said, don't talk about that ever again. Right? 3 more we got. We got suggestions for conflict resolution. So proposals for compromise, collaboration, or even a third party mediation. Sometimes we are asking each other to get somebody else involved and there's no agreement between the two in order to bring a third person in to kind of be the mediator, so to speak, right? And so refusal for that looks like disregarding the suggestions without even considering it. Ignorance would be failing to see that there could be a potential benefit. And then denial would be, again, believing that the conflict doesn't need resolving. We don't want to do these things. We want to reflect. In what way might this suggestion be beneficial? In what way might I need to actually reflect on that and say yes to it?
Right. And you know, when you say the third party mediation, who was the third party mediation with our ancestors?
Oh, and we still have that third party. Let me tell you, I call my grandmother, okay? Grandma gets knee deep in our business. Because although, and I won't say although, because her relationship with my grandfather was not perfect, but it was so loving. It was loving. It was, there was tons of consideration. It was, I witnessed the growth. I saw the longevity. I saw the expansion of how it trickled and had this rippling effect into our family. So therefore, the fact that it wasn't perfect left the curiosity to say, in the moments when ours is not perfect, what can we do? Let's go to those who know how to do it. To the extent that now, if we have a conflict that, you know, we need a third party, James now will say, let's call your grandmother.
Let's call grandma.
James will say, let's call your grandmother. And it used to be both my grandmother and my grandfather, but he has transitioned in the last couple of years.
Right. But you know, when the village is formed, there's our third party mediation.
There's our third party mediation. You're so right. And now you all are a part of our third party
That's it.
mediation.
That's it.
We have it right
calling
here.
Yep, we calling the
Look,
village in. Let's talk about it.
Gigi's probably wondering why we haven't called her.
Right,
And she's
right,
like, wow, they're doing
right.
wonderfully over there.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So then there's the feedback about impact on others. So we're explaining how someone else's actions have negatively impacted other people. This can happen in parenting. You could say, listen, you know, I think that maybe we could have looked at that differently. It could be, oh, you came home from work, you told me about something that was going on at work, and I have some feedback to give about maybe that could be different, or vice versa. You could tell me, you know, maybe you can remove your feelings out of that and see this more practically. Whatever it is, refusal, again, ignorance, denial, all these things can show up to impact the ability for us to really reflect. In what way is the information that's being shared with me true? Just thinking about what makes this true. Last one would be the personal feedback, and that's comments about personal, I'll just move this here, about personal traits or behaviors that contribute to the conflict. We all know in each other those things that become triggering,
Yes.
right? So it's like there's something that you do or there's something that I do, and it becomes the thing that escalates the conflict.
Right.
And I've observed it and I'm telling you about it, or you've observed it and you're telling me about it and I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Then I'm getting in the way of our progress, you know? So opening it back up again, you know, any thoughts on how we can do this? And actually, you know what, before we go there, I'm just gonna bring us to the homework. Because the homework is to create a list of critical feedback that you received. So feedback that you have received, and you can go back as far as you like, right? And describe what your initial response or your reaction to it was. Right? And then find at least one scenario in which the feedback could be perceived as true. Because we're going to start listening to each other. We don't know everything and we're not perfect. And our partners, our family members, our neighbors, our co-workers, our employees, employers, whoever it is, right? Anyone who's taken the time to give us feedback is divine information.
That's it.
It was intended for us to know this thing and then to make a decision on how to reflect.
Right.
How to self-reflect and say, in what way is this true about me?
Right.
Everyone's not wrong. Someone told you that you interrupt too much. In what way was it true? Someone told you you talk too much. In what way is it true?
Right.
Someone told you that, you know, you're just not showing up authentically to me. In what way is it true?
Right.
Someone told you you were being stubborn. In what way is it true? Right? Instead of always seeking to disprove things immediately.
Right.
You know?
Yep. Yep.
So who has a thought on that? Any thoughts that came up for that? We're going to do this as a homework assignment. We're going to get some feedback from some folks, document it, list it, and then we're going to figure out in what way is it true. We are not going to journal about disproving what was shared with us.
Right.
In what way is it true? And then after we've done that, then we can now do the deeper introspective healing, which is identifying how we're going to address it and improve it. So Shah says, my seedling is Scorpio. Of course, I'm stubborn. LOL. And then Brother Truth, this is the constant, says, situations and circumstances don't make us. They reveal us to ourselves. Ashe. Oh, I love that thought.
Yes. Yes.
I love that thought because so often we feel like whatever you said about me today must be what you think of me overall.
Right.
And it really doesn't have to be that.
Right.
It's just that's the experience today. And it's worthy to be further investigated.
Right.
So Natasha says, this was an uncomfortable discussion, even though I didn't talk. LOL. So Tosh, if you're not able to speak and you want to drop in the chat, we want to know more about that. And what ways? Yeah, look at that. The question
Right.
how so?
Right.
We want to know,
Right. That was,
you know, in what way was it uncomfortable?
Right.
You know? So tell us more. If you're not able to unmute, feel free to drop it in the chat, Tosh. So any other thoughts on this? Truth says, and Sister Constance says, we are your family. Yes,
Absolutely.
Tosh.
That
So in what ways was this
right.
uncomfortable?
Like we just said, this is
With a third party.
with a third party. This
Yeah.
is a safe space.
And if it's coming up for you, it's because it's necessary in the space, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I know even, I mean, going through that, I'll admit even reflecting on myself as we are talking about reflecting and deflecting and how it shows up for me. I also will say that it was hard sometimes to reflect back on yourself because of what you're seeing and that what you don't want to admit. Because if I admit it before I understood, by me admitting it doesn't mean that it defines me forever. I'm just admitting and acknowledging what it is for the moment. But at the time, I was like, no, if I admit this becomes me.
Yeah. I'm tagged.
That's it.
I'm
right?
it.
Right. And I just like to say also, like, when we're going through this, especially with partnership, something that I didn't do in the past that I learned and as we went on this journey together is to try to understand is my queen is not my opposition. And when it's time for me to listen to what my queen is telling me, I can't be in defense mode. I can't deflect. I can't be in denial. I have to be not just in spirit, but in love and listen with my heart to say, okay, wait, listen to what your queen is saying. And I don't always do that, but I continue to practice and continue to be a better version of myself because I know that my queen has my best interests. She is my nurturer. She is my lover, right? And whatever she's telling me, I need to attach to what is being said, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I received that. I received that. And when you respond that way, it makes me feel more safe emotionally to share.
Right.
You know, and that just elevates us further.
It does.
So
It does.
I received that.
Yeah.
I received that.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
My shag.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, y'all. So in the chat here, let's see. This is Megan said, commending you for showing up and acknowledging the discomfort. There's growth and love there, Tasha.
Absolutely.
Ashe. And Felisa says, I'm so glad this is being recorded. I feel like there are so many nuggets that I have listened to multiple times to get them embedded in a lifestyle. Ashe says.
Wow.
That was a beautiful share. I love it. This is Tatiana. Oh, give thanks.
Yes.
Give thanks. Give thanks. This is not easy, y'all. It's not. One of the things. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that I realized too, and this is a thought that came up when you were sharing, is that the world, when we talk about our environment, the world has given us a lot of language sometimes to explain away things that we really need to dig further into.
Right.
And I really wanted to give my own testimony on the phrase imposter syndrome, right? So a lot of times people would kind of toss this thing around, and imposter syndrome essentially is that thing of not feeling like you belong at the table, although perhaps you do, and not feeling like you could take up the space that's needed when perhaps you should. And oftentimes leaning into believing something like, well, in this moment, I'm experiencing imposter syndrome, prevented me from digging in to find deeper that it really was an inauthenticity issue. So sometimes we're showing up in spaces where we don't really belong.
Right.
And sometimes we're showing up in spaces where our spirit doesn't feel safe. And sometimes we're showing up in spaces doing that code switch that Sister Felisa mentioned.
Right.
And because we're putting on this representation of ourselves, it feels like what people could call imposter syndrome.
Right.
When really it is just being an imposter, period.
Right.
So it's really about asking yourself the question, you know what I mean? To really identify the truth, the truth. What is the feedback I'm getting? And that also means, what is the feedback I'm getting from my intuition? I don't need to let the world and my environments explain away what my intuition is telling me. I'm also getting feedback from that inner environment that Sister Megan mentioned. And then Brother Truth said, and Sister Constance says, being in the world and not of it. Okay, I love that. And then going up. It said, Sister Megan said it was beautiful to bear witness to the nurturing of your sacred environment. Good things, sis. Good things. And Queen Letitia says, every aspect of this call resonates with me. When this showed up for my king and I, we didn't have this community or the tools to get through the hurdles. We were fortunate enough to seek professional help. We now have the tools to nurture our sacred union. Ashe. So grateful that y'all allowed the third party in.
Right.
Ashe. Ashe. Beautiful. And Brother Truth and Sister Constance. And we have also Brother Dre and Sister Shah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. This is profound. This is an intimate moment for me, in the sense of when someone is sharing something with you, you may not see it in that moment, but maybe what they're sharing with you is they're seeing the actual progression. They tell you the end term, and the end term is where you're going. This is an intimate moment because this is a village. My wife tells me a lot, you're an alcoholic. And I'm like, what the hell you mean? I'm not an alcoholic. I only drink 2 or 3 beers. I only drink 4. However, because of her life experience, she's giving me something that I can't see yet. And I'm not willing to accept yet. And until I'm able to expose that part of me and allow others in the village, because in a village setting, she would not be the only one bringing it to me. Would not be the
powerful
only knowing me, because there will be others observing and watching me, because we hide ourselves in the world. You don't know me. Well, why not? My brother would say, oh, brother, I know you. My sister would say, oh, I know you. My mother would say, I birthed you. My father would say, you are me. So in an intimate moment, I will share. Even though I'm the one to bring things to her attention, I shared with her that the one thing that she never knows about herself with me is she is here to teach me how to love. And the first person that I'm being taught how to love is not myself, it's her. It's my messenger.
Wow.
My God.
So no, maybe not today. I'm not an alcoholic. Maybe not yesterday. But if I keep the path that I'm going on right now, I'm already that and don't even know it.
My God.
With that, I'm at peace.
Wow.
This is a village.
This is a village.
That is it.
Sending so much love. Sending so much more and light and love and appreciation for your trust in us.
Yes.
I love that. My God.
This is the village. This is the village.
And
This
I
is how
love
we
the
make it a
phrase.
village.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
I love the phrase, how you refer to Sister Constance as his divine messenger. Wow.
Wow.
When you have that phrasing,
Right.
you are already set up to receive.
Right.
If I'm looking at you as my divine messenger,
Right. Right.
I'm welcoming anything you speak, changing it energetically before it even leaves your mouth.
Right.
My God. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. And
My
this,
goodness.
this is why the village is so important.
Yes.
To see the examples in each other, to share, to connect,
Yeah.
to reflect while I'm listening
Mm.
to Brother Truth's voice and reflect back on ourselves, our union. This is why it's so important to have the village. Thank you, brother, for sharing.
That was beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful.
One last thing. This is how I allow her to have the assistance that she needs with me. I know I'm powerful. And when I shut down, but when I give her the opportunity to have assistance from the village, she is more powerful in the village than by herself. So I expose myself for the purpose of forming the foundation of the village and the necessity of the village, not just for me, but for her to be and do and fulfill her responsibility to me. With that, I'm at peace.
Ashe, brother. Oh my goodness. This share, look, the chat is going crazy.
That's right.
So Sister Tasha kicked off. She said, my God.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Letitia said, Brother Truth, sending prayer hands. Dre and Sha sending multiple prayer hands. Sister Megan said, Brother Truth. And she's sending you so much light, so much love.
Right.
Tasha, brother.
That's it.
All the exclamation marks. Alicia said, Brother Truth, speechless. This is and everything shared tonight is what we need.
What we need.
Dre and Sha said, I have chills. Melinda said, wow.
Wow.
My goodness. I'm so deeply
I'm just
grateful.
That's the word. I'm just so grateful. Grateful. You know, these past 2 nights, and Brother Truth, you was on the call last night with us, right? These moments, like,
yeah,
it is divine. It is, I don't even know the words. I'm speechless, right? It's just to be part of this. I'm so honored. I'm so honored to be part of this. And just grateful for what is being built.
I'm grateful to witness the redefining of what it means to be a warrior.
Ashe. Ashe. I get that. This is not the
Right.
That's right.
This is this.
That's it. That is it. That is it.
And what everyone should understand is we're segueing into the next section, which is sacred union.
That's it. That is it.
That is the ultimate. The ultimate is sacred union. And the only way that the Most High can truly manifest in fullness is this way.
That's it.
We become one flesh, one mind, one heart, collectively
in balance.
Ashe.
Ashe. My goodness. Sister Alicia said, so emotionally soaked. Letitia says, I'm so grateful for our village. My God. My God. Wow, this is so powerful. And Dre and Sha, did I see your hand up too? I think I saw your hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, my hand was up, but I had to put it down. Lord Jesus.
That was deep. Oh my goodness.
It's like, hold on. Yeah, I was just gonna share about the homework, like about the homework as well. Like I've been told that I can come across as cold,
Mm.
and it never really resonated with me because I know myself to be very deeply emotional. Um, but I realize that it may come across as cold to others because I detach. I detach from the emotion because I don't want anyone to sit in it with me. I don't even want to sit in it myself. So when I do sit in it, I always reserve that time to be by myself,
Mm.
right? Because I am a person who will definitely self-reflect, but I will self-reflect by myself. Or I may call my sister, like, well, listen, this is blah, blah, blah. But there's no one else that I would really let in that manner. So to the outside world, it could seem quite cold.
Mm.
And I realize that that may be a part of my nurture as well, because I know it's not my nature.
Mhm.
And I know that I grew up in a household where I was told that I needed to remove my feelings from most things. So if I'm never operating in those feelings, I have to detach from them. And now as an adult, if I'm always detached from the emotion in the moment, you will never know how it is that I actually feel.
Wow, wow, wow. What a reflection, child.
Right.
And oh my goodness, the thought that you just painted around, I am removing myself and detaching because I don't want my emotion to bleed on you.
Mm.
Right.
Wow. So what someone could be perceiving as cold was actually your act of love. It's the complete opposite of misery wanting company.
Correct. Right. Right.
It's like, no, I didn't want to pass this on you.
Right.
So let me go sit with it and work with it and then come back to this from a place of balance. My gosh, I love that thought so much. I love that thought so much. And so Brother Truth and Sister Constance says, we give thanks to our village, our family.
Ashe.
And Sister Tasha says, I resonate with that so deeply, Sha. Melinda said, yes, Sha. Same. That resonates. Megan says, I feel you, Sha. My gosh. And that just, it's a perfect example, Sha, of how wrong we can be when we assume, right? Instead of asking questions and communicating, going back full circle now to what your first comment was about communicating. All right, asking the question, why? Why do you retreat? Why do you isolate in this moment? To then opening it up to a moment where you can share something as beautiful as you just did, Sha.
Right.
That's amazing. And Sister Constance says, thank you, Sha. Sha, thank you. My gosh. Y'all coming through in here tonight.
Yeah, this was it.
This circle. Oh my goodness. Like my goodness. I'm so grateful.
But you see it. It's the 7th week.
Mm-hmm.
The family is coming together.
Mm-hmm.
The village is coming together.
Mm-hmm.
We are opening up.
Yeah. We're doing the healing. We're initiating the healing.
Right.
And so now we're ready to listen. We're ready to hear. We're
Right.
ready to receive the feedback.
That's it. That's it.
Ashe.
That's it.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Give thanks.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I think we are complete,
Yes.
unless there's anyone else that has anything else they would like to share. Because my emotions now, I just need this has been this is beautiful. Anyone else like to share before we part? Megan says, I love y'all. And we love you too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. We
Absolutely love this family.
love. I'll just say,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I have one more thing to share because I advocated for myself as a person who detaches from their feelings and who does not like to have people know what it is that they're or how they may be affecting me. I felt like I did a great job yesterday. So I was at work and my boss was asking me to do something But the way that he was phrasing it it felt to me as if he was trying to sell me on the idea, because the wording that he chose to use was something that he actually trains us to say to customers, right? And it's something as simple as a, how does that sound? And that is like, okay, so I know that this is the terminology. I know that this is how you would want us to speak. But the fact that you're using it on me makes me feel like I should just shut down, right? That would be my initial go-to, because again, I'm a person that will detach because I'm starting to feel anxiety. Now I don't really want to do this. I'm going to detach. But instead of just detaching and also being the person to be like, okay, no problem, I'm going to do this anyway, even though I feel like this is not right. I said to him just that. He was like, when he asked me, how does that sound? I responded after a few minutes of talking myself into it. And I was like, it honestly sounds like you're trying to sell me on this idea.
Let's get thick in the space. Let's go, Sha.
And I said, and because I feel like I'm being sold, it's giving me immediate anxiety. And I want not to do this. I said, and I didn't want to send this message because I didn't want you to feel as if I was being negative.
I love that level of authenticity. Right. Here's what I felt, and here's what I didn't want you to feel. Okay, Sha.
Right. Because I didn't want you to feel like I was being negative, and I just but the thought itself didn't resonate, because I honestly see value in what it is that he was trying to get me to do. However, the way that you phrased it to me is what as my mom would say, made my horns go up. So I said that to him, and he actually took a step back, and he was like, because he's doing this via text message, and he usually only comes into the office a couple times a week. And today would have been the day that he was coming in. So he said to me, he was like, so I didn't mean to come off that way. Sometimes this is why I don't like to respond, to send messages this way. He says, so maybe we should speak about this in person tomorrow, and we can visit it then. And I said, absolutely. So when he came in today, we revisited and we worked it out, and I understood what it was that he was talking about. We agreed on that, right? Cool. So we made it through there. But then now, being a condescending person that he is, throughout the day, he said a couple times the word anxiety, right? And is this going to give you anxiety? And me, again, advocating for myself, said, no, this does not give me anxiety. However, the next time I do feel it, I'll be sure to let you know. You won't have to.
You don't have to guess.
You will not have to ask. And I was so happy with myself. I had to text Andre and let him know.
I'm proud of you too, Sha. And oh my goodness, it's so important that we do exactly what you said, because yes, as Black and brown people, we can go out there and be entrepreneurs. Yes, we can also be in the corporate settings and corporate structures. Yes, we can even tag team and do both and have all the options we'd like. But one of the things that I have found disturbing is the Black flight out of corporate, because we're not able to show up in that level of authenticity. Right. I absolutely love that you advocated, because you doing that in such a it was very much in a polite way and a very professional way, but yet it was also assertive without being aggressive. You know what I mean? And it was clear. It's clear the message has been communicated. Okay. And so at the end of the day, the more we do that, the more we not only create space for ourselves to take up space, but now we invite others to be able to be in the space, because that manager, director, whatever his role is, he is now being developed by you. Right. So whoever now comes into that space gets a new version of him because he's being developed. And that's what we need in every space, whether it's entrepreneurship or otherwise. We need to give that kind of feedback so that we don't flee the spaces that we occupy. Right.
Sure.
Oh my goodness. So Letitia says, yes, good for you, Sha. Good for you. Brother Truth and Sister Constance says, within this village, we desire to expose ourselves truthfully and fully. This is the foundation of our village.
Mm.
I am society. Suwa and her. And Megan says, yes, Sha, self-advocacy for the win. Absolutely. Truth and Constance said, Ashe. Tatiana said, I love that, Sha. I am truly inspired. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you know what? Even though it might have been uncomfortable at first for your, I don't like the phrase bosses, which is why I keep stumbling to find a different word, right? Whatever his role is, manager, director, whatever it is. But it may have been uncomfortable for him to hear that, but I guarantee you he has a whole new level of appreciation for you and the relationship that you're building. If he knows that if anybody's going to be honest with him in that space, it's going to be you. It's going to be you.
Right.
And so the relationship is being built even further than what it was. So that is beautiful.
Right. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We give thanks for y'all. We give thanks. We give thanks. We give thanks.
So going through this call, it was such a powerful call. And we never know how it's gonna go. We know that it's always gonna be divine. But again, we're getting to this point where we can truly, truly see family in the village, right? And I'm thankful for this call tonight because all that happened today, with emotions of just, news and all that. And
do you want to share?
So I will. So, my parents, they live 5 minutes from me. My sister lives 5 minutes from me. We moved out to Long Island together as a family. My father has dementia, and I honor him every week by shaving and bathing him. It has been reversed where I take care of him and make sure that he is cleaned and ready for the week, even though at this point, he doesn't necessarily know who I am, right? But in spirit, he knows who I am. And I take the time, and in the beginning, it wasn't something that I attached to in the beginning. It was almost something that I didn't realize what it was going to be. I was like, oh wait, I gotta clean my father. Like I gotta shower him, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. But it became a thing, and my queen changed everything when she said to me one day. I think you were saying something about how the ancestors used to honor the elders, washing their feet, right? And it changed how I looked at everything. And from that day, I always took it as an honor to go and bathe and shave my father, make sure that he was represented and in the right state, right? And my mother with her health and everything. And I look forward to, I've never been apart from them. They're 5 minutes away from me for years. My sister has decided that she's going to move them and herself to another state. I was not part of this discussion. And it was something that I was kind of blown away with. I knew that when they mentioned that it was going to come at some point, and I wasn't really ready for it. And I didn't necessarily agree with it because you're taking my parents away from our family as well. So today I got a call from her that she wanted to talk, and she was saying they're leaving in June, and it's now March. And I'm like, wow. And I called my wife and I'm like, I'm just so down. I'm sad. Like it's a reality now that I won't be able to see my parents in the physical 5 minutes from me and go honor my father and be able to see him in these last days of what is left. Right. And I was very, very down today about that. But I'm so thankful that we had this call, and the Most High shows me that one, I'll always be with them attached to spirit, but I also have a family now and a village now that I can go to, and I'm not alone. And I told you earlier that I felt alone, not alone from you, but just alone because a part of family is being taken away from me. But again, I give thanks for our village and what this means to me, to have us as a village and family. So I thank y'all for just, holding space. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I know that was tough, and
Yeah.
I honor and appreciate you for being able to be vulnerable in that moment and share that.
Thank
you. And you're not alone,
Yeah.
Yep. Oh boy. Tasha said, holding space for you, Brother James. Yeah. We'll get through it together,
And
It's tough. It's tough, when you're close in proximity and at the heart, right?
Yeah.
But we'll work through it. We're gonna work through it.
Trust and believe we love you, brother James. This is what's coming to you from your ancestors. You're about to move into a space that you can't even see yet. And you wouldn't even be able to provide what's needed. Because you're providing for so many more now. You are not seeing what this right here that you deem as your wife's sight. Look at the divinity of tonight. She's nurturing something that you thought. You ain't said it out loud. You thought it. And now she has nurtured it. And this is the first of it that came through her. You are doing something so much more.
Yeah.
You're moving into a realm. You're moving into a realm to be who you truly are. And you gain the practice with your father and your mother. And now you're bringing that to share with us, the village members. You are the elder. You are an elder. Your responsibility has grown beyond your immediate circle. But you've already known that. That's why you wake up every morning doing push-ups. That's why you wake up every morning giving the brothers incitement and motivation. That's why you wake up calling a prayer call to the brothers, the providers. Look at what you're doing right now. You're doing this for more than one. And now the universe has brought someone who did not want the position and placed them in the position to say, irregardless of how you're hearing it, they have submitted to taking on the role that right now I'm too great to take on this role because I have a greater role for the nation, And with that, I yield.
I receive. Thank you for those words, Brother Truth.
Oh my goodness, Brother Truth. I'm in so much awe and just gratitude of the way y'all brothers just showing us how this is done, okay? This is holding space. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
As your wife and divine mate, there's my way, right, of holding space for you. But this is why we need our community, because I can't be your brother. I can be your wife, but your brother's got you too. Sisters, I can be your sister. I can be your divine mate, but I can be your sister. And the way we show up and hold space will be different, but it's in balance. It's in balance. You are steady on both sides. Oh my goodness, y'all. Wow. Ashe. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful.
Wow.
And
wow.
The words you just shared, Brother Truth, about the redirection, that's what the word that came to mind. The redirection of the assignment. Oh, my gosh. Oh my goodness, in the chat. So, Taj said, holding space for you, Brother James. Megan says, thank you for sharing, Brother James. Tatiana sends her prayers. Melinda sending her prayers. Alicia says, the village is here for you, your brother James. Letitia said, thank you for sharing and holding space for you. But the manifest says, the way has been arranged. Dre and Shaw said, the elder. The elder. Brother Truth Statement, you are now the elder.
Sure.
Tasha said, Ashe. Sister Felisa said, God knows your heart.
Yes.
Yes. Tori says, sending prayers and love. Letitia says, Ashe. Brother AJ said, between yesterday and today, emotions, I'm overwhelmed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Sister Megan said, Ashe, and Tasha is giving prayer, surrender, and praise hands.
Right.
And Brother AJ says, blessed to be here.
Yes,
Sister
we are.
Felisa said, I feel a book being birthed, Brother James. Oh,
I
yes.
receive. I receive.
And Brother AJ said, James, you know I love you, brother. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I
love you.
I am in such gratitude for the way you brothers are showing up, revealing yourselves, and being held up in your strength within the unity that you're all displaying. Like, I am so grateful. Y'all are not just holding spaces for the women, y'all are holding it for each other. And that's what we need.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my heart is full.
Yes. Yes.
My heart is full.
love y'all.
My heart is
I
full.
love y'all. I love y'all. I love y'all. I truly, truly love y'all.
We're not doing life alone.
No.
We are not doing it alone. We have our village.
Yes. Yes.
All right, y'all. We all gonna need we're gonna need some unwinding time to sit and kind of really process through all of the emotions of this. But it was so beautifully witnessed.
Yes.
And we're deeply grateful.
Yes.
With that said, brothers, sisters, we're gonna go into our closing affirmation if we're unmute.
Led by our elder.
Ashe. I am grateful for the insights gained.
I am grateful for the insights gained.
Insights gained.
I carry the strength of our community with me.
I
carry
carry the strength of our community with me.
I continue my journey with love and purpose.
I continue my journey with love and purpose.
Until we meet again in gratitude and growth.
Until
we meet again, gratitude and growth.
Ashe.
Ashe. I love you.
Love y'all. Thanks.
It's beautiful. Give thanks.
Give thanks. Give thanks. Give thanks.
Give thanks.
Wow.
Oh, Addie.
Addison. She's so cute.